Chapter 5. Leviathan and Behemoth. Quote, "Tell me, do you know about the greatest and most terrible monster that exists? You may think of some, but it is not about any of them. This one is even worse, an invincible one. A giant that cannot be defeated. An invisible and intangible, no matter what you try to kill him, as he will take various forms and crush you with all his power. He has many allies. Still don't know what I mean? Obviously, I speak about the state, the Leviathan that controls us all and governs our society. Thomas Hobbes. These are creating the Leviathan, and not by Thomas Hobbes, but in an even darker and more macabre version of the state, betraying the earth and the people. Who rules the people with fear and scarcity, summum malum, the supreme evil, and wanting to eliminate human goodness. Summum bonum, the supreme good, in order to have absolute control over them. But the owl silently scrutinizes in the midst of the chaos and watches patiently as it moves through the distant winds of the four corners of the earth, watching and guarding from afar, for when the dragon strikes, then it will send a chaos monster prepared for the moment, giving a signal of the era to come, to Behemoth, who was born ready to destroy it with his unparalleled structure, for his strength as high-quality metal offers him unprecedented ferocity and skill. And how lamentable it is to see a rotten or dried orange in a good environment. Because Dardo, the bar manager at LTPV for quite some time, was already causing some complications, and he was the first to be recruited and convinced to participate in the destructive plot against Enrique. And so, Dardo accepted to be all ears to everything he did, like a mercenary who easily sells himself to the first bidder. As he begins to gain trust, he starts passing on all the information he can, or makes it up if needed. He keeps him under constant surveillance. Enrique is forbidden any possibility of business or growth, and for a while in Cologne, they, the dark and sneaky serpent, strive to create traps or problems for him, entangling him in legal troubles, with zero privacy. Since he is classified as PI, politically influential, and this is not pleasing to the high powers of the orthodoxy pan-Europe. "I'm leaving LTPV," Dardo tells Enrique. "Really? Why?" Enrique asks. "I found something better." Dardo responds very casually. "What a shame. You leave us with an incomplete team, and I had developed a certain esteem for you," Enrique replies, regretting his decision. From there, the last Monday of January 2022 is expected. Fortunately, Enrique had been selected to work with him, but the day before, on Sunday afternoon, his sister, Evelyn, the Heyoka, called him from home. "Enrique, how are you? Everything okay?" She greets him. "Very well, my love. And you? How are you all?" He responds. They chat a bit about life and family in general, because the sister doesn't want to enter the news so abruptly and cold until she musters the courage to tell him. "Enrique, I dreamt of you. I had a very bad nightmare, and I don't want to tell you. I don't want to give bad news," the sister says nervously. "What happened? Tell me," Enrique demands, but he already knew what it was, if it was an organized attack by the Council of the 12. "I dreamed that they want to kill you, because there are people around you who presume that you owe them your life and envy you. In the dream, the reason is not very clear. They will harm you, accuse you, be many. They will hit you, and they will hurt you severely. But you, like a lion, will defend yourself in that duel and destroy them all, one by one, and they will escape to regroup. You end up injured, bloodied, and weak. However, I find you on the ground and come to your aid with sorrow, bitterness, just like Michelangelo's La Pietà." His sister describes this nightmare to Enrique. His sister narrates with much concern and fear, but Enrique pauses for a few seconds and responds to her. "Calm down, my sister. What you just told me is not a disappointment, much less a nightmare. Rather, this is a prophecy, something inevitable, as I have accepted this destiny for a long time, as a knight who promises loyalty to humanity and will give his life for a higher good, for peace, because it is the best for everyone. You don't have to worry because I have been preparing for this moment with patience for a long time. And if they touch me, hundreds of angels will descend, and as many demons will rise to fight and start a war of universal balance. If this is the result they want to achieve with their primitive Neanderthal behaviors, they have to decide whether we want to work together for a common good, superior for us and for future generations of humanity, or if they want to run for greed and the ego of wanting to be the first to monopolize the market and then blind themselves with power until they fall into the abyss. He told his sister how the magician's cards had foretold this destiny, and he fell silent, accepting it. Because this is not a government or a country, much less a continent. Rather, we are an enormous community that works both above and below to shape a structured platform guided by very clear leaders who will provide guidance for this new order, aware that we can make a difference. We are not guided by fame, validation, wealth, or immediate gratification. We need little to live, and we survive in the face of adversity. We thrive in the midst of chaos and add more fuel to move forward, to fall forward. We don't play with a plan B. It doesn't exist in the vocabulary. The plan A is intelligent, dynamic, and constantly changing because we are ready to sacrifice everything for the good of humanity, even life if necessary. We don't follow or defend a race, a color, a flag, a religion, a place, or a nation. We are here to give the best to humanity that exists on this earth, in this earthly, celestial, and maritime paradise. So you can continue attacking with your hand in glove in a covert manner. Do it strongly. Please. Enrique explains and demands. Quote, "The man who fights for his homeland, thus fighting to defend it, is a soldier to be respected. Fighting a war of aggression is always a soldier and is not even to be respected. But that man who, becoming cosmopolitan, adopts humanity as homeland and goes to offer his sword and his blood to all people who fight against tyranny is more than a soldier. He is a hero. Giuseppe Garibaldi, just as they did with Savonarola. Keep blocking, denying, or not accepting applications, just as they did with Hitler's painter. You can imprison him for many years. Look at what happened with Mandela. Perhaps you can make him commit suicide, just like Martin Luther King, Mahatma Gandhi, or Malcolm X. Alternatively, let him dedicate his life to his goals and missions for a higher good, like Mother Teresa or Rosa Parks. The decision is yours. Think it over. We can go to play with Stephen Curry or Kobe Bryant. Enrique offers them the possibilities in their hands. Since we now have more serious problems or high-risk conflicts worldwide, worse than the current pandemic, or is it all an organized fiction to confuse the many who are limited in seeing and understanding reality? Quote, "Listen with ears of tolerance, see through the eyes of compassion, speak with the language of love." Jalal ad-Din Muhammad Rumi. That next night, the theater audience is prepared with many dynamics that are not possible to describe one by one, so some of them will be mentioned randomly. First, there is a public demonstration starting from Humarkt at 1800 hours, diverting Enrique to avoid accidents or physical attacks by strangers. Then, all the actors gradually arrive to greet Dardo on his last night of work, men, women, and transgender individuals, for the informal farewell dinner with Dardo. There is alcohol at will and cocaine at discretion, always offered by Dardo for Enrique and others. "I have a wonderful powder. Want some?" Dardo offers. Enrique expresses to him, "It doesn't serve me to be happy, thank you very much." Mano a mano, as friends and acquaintances arrive, more toasts have to be made. Fortunately, Enrique resists alcohol in an impressive way. Many girls playfully approach Enrique that night to see if he falls, especially a trans person who insisted on the art of seduction. But he continued to engage with her to see how far she would go. "A Cuba Libre, with a lot of rum," she or he asks very happily. "What kind of rum? We have several. Do you want to have a good Dominican rum?" Enrique asks, playing along. "Yes, a Dominican rum," she or he replies, smiling at Enrique. She or he and Enrique hinted at erotic games while they looked at each other, and she danced and touched herself sexually between songs, to the point that she spoke with a girl sitting next to her and hinted at a threesome, the triangle of the wheel. But in the end, she or he realized that he was not interested. He didn't fall for it, and she or he left, disappearing in fractions of seconds. Because Enrique no longer lived in a state of survival and was only grateful for all the gays and trans individuals who helped him stay alive while he was in the sacred plastic city. Yes, they, gays and trans individuals, were the ones who watched over him and protected him when he suffered from a long illness called yellow fever. Also, there is a family, a daughter with her mother from Mexico. They are friendly with Enrique, look at him all night, and greet him before leaving. "Oh, what good music! What a good atmosphere!" they say, mother and daughter. He offers them a free drink, a still shots, with tequila since they had enjoyed a good dinner and been drinking all night. They leave 30 euros tip, which they pass to Dardo, and instead of putting it in the common bar cash register, he gives 20 euros to Enrique and keeps 10 euros immediately in his pocket. Enrique knows it's not right, looks at Dardo, but doesn't contradict him and lets him continue his game, his night of attack. Quote, "If you do something for someone else, never remember it. If someone does something for you, never forget." Dale Carnegie. At the same time, a tourist from Dubai arrives, an outsider who is there to observe all the dynamics and report to Nicole. He is very polite and tries to converse with Enrique, but without success as well. Because Enrique treats everyone with respect as guests, but he leaves a clear image that there is an invisible line that cannot be crossed because we all have an inner dimension, a space necessary for the life of every living being. Then they have a problem with the music, and while Enrique wants to adjust the cables to fix the inconvenience, Milton approaches. Milton had finished his shift that morning, but decided to stay the whole afternoon to celebrate with Dardo and, incidentally, to bother Enrique since he entered his shift. Initially, Enrique takes it lightly, but Milton continues to annoy him all night, even yells at him with swear words just to tell him to stop the music because it's too late. At that moment, Enrique turns, looks him in the eyes, and follows him until he reaches his position, seated at the bar, maintaining eye contact until he stands in front of him. He responds, remaining calm and composed, saying that everything can be said, but without disrespect. Milton lowers his gaze for a few seconds and calms down, easing the hidden hatred he harbored against Enrique, which was only a personal issue Milton had and reflected onto others. Enrique immediately returns to work to put things in order and clean up because he wants to leave. It's quite late, and he needs to go to sleep. After struggling with the order and cleanliness of the bar, as he was almost working alone, he leaves very late with Dardo, after 5 o'clock in the middle of the night, and they go for a final beer at a kiosk near LTPV. They talk about everything, and knowing that Dardo had to try to get away with it, he drugged him with one of the beers when he went inside to buy them. Enrique allows it, says nothing, bids farewell to Dardo, and 2 tears of sorrow and betrayal come out due to the bad news he had read earlier in a work email. Despite all this, he has to ride his bike to get home. Struggling with balance, he falls twice on the way, making it difficult to reach his apartment. When he enters his room, he starts exclaiming with strong anger and disappointment about how he is being treated by all of them without any reason. That night, he also supposedly contracted COVID for the first time, as indicated by the tests against this virus, which injected a placebo or something unknown. What is the purpose? Why is it still not known what it is? Or what is it used for? Why? Why? I don't want to do anything wrong, Enrique shouted as he cried in that pain, in a phase of catharsis, for the next 3 hours until he fell asleep. At that moment, Amirna also cries, worried, and takes care of him from a distance with her maternal energy because she still cannot approach. But she, through the large family, always intercedes to help Enrique. Until when? Amirna screams in tears while crying in her memorabilia room, filled with memories and objects she has from him. Why are you crying, Amirna? Tara enters curiously upon hearing her and seeing the door open for the first time. She approaches slowly and asks Amirna, since she doesn't know what is happening and doesn't understand what all these objects are. Rings, bracelets, shoes, dresses, photos and diagrams or data on the boards and walls, because all are meticulously and chronologically organized in that secret room. Nothing, Tara. Amirna doesn't want to tell Tara the truth about what is happening. What is all this? Tara is impressed by what she has just found and already has a vague idea of what happened. Things I've paid a high price for, my friend. Amirna responds to her friend Tara. Wasn't it better to ask for it than to take it that way? I don't know. That's how it's done in my house. Tara responds naively to Amirna since she has medium and clairvoyant powers, and when she touches the bracelet, she saw in microseconds who the owner was and how he was stripped of everything. And immediately she moves to the other part of the universe, where he is politely asked, so Enrique thinks about it and gives her much more than she has received so far. I can't tell you, Tara, but from now on, call me Niobe, because he is the king who sits, Hiket Nonk, to the left of the Lord of the Spirits, to bring the union of the thousands of peoples, because he has broken the chains and bonds of his mind. That's why. Go and tell ours to go to the outskirts of Renania to discuss new non-religious guidelines that will bring harmony in this struggle for unlimited power. Amirna tells Tara, unwilling to acknowledge the mistake she made. Niobe, Tara asks Amirna, perplexed by what she sees and hears. It's very important to me, and I trust only you, Tara. Call me that every time we're alone. This is all I ask. Amirna insists on this promise from Tara because she's worried about not discussing what's happening. But why? Tara asks, concerned. Because I need to remind myself of what I can lose, not just for myself, but for the opportunity we all have in this world, for humanity. And this, Tara. Oh, I cannot allow this, for the same love I have and don't have at the same time. Amirna indirectly explains to Tara the importance of this, even though Tara doesn't know what it's about. I don't know what you're talking about, Amirna, but I haven't seen you like this in all the time I've known you. I respect your decision, and if all I have to do for you is call you Niobe, then so be it. I'll keep your secret. Tara promises to support Amirna with this task. Returning to the trials Enrique has been going through for a long time, they are like the long scales of the cursed infernal dragon called Leviathan. This dragon no longer feeds on the warmth of the sun and the good herbs of the land that the Lord of Spirits granted him. Instead, he decided to obtain other sources of energy from the moment he chose to compete and prove to be superior or equal to his creator. These new sources are unnatural for humans themselves, but cursed nourishment for this demon who has started to transform by transmuting his being with healthy cells and nutrients found only in the genetics of human beings. The Lord of Spirits loved this species so much that he bestowed upon them his own being, his own energy, his own DNA code. that unique light carried only by the daughters and sons of the Lord of Spirits, like are the humans, his favorites. As a result, this dragon began to grow more and more, and over time wanted to feel superior to the Creator's spirit. Yes, because there is nothing richer and more nourishing in this world for Leviathan than the bone marrow of a human being. In particular, the tender bone marrow of 33 nodes in the first cycle of life, that is, those human beings who are from the first eye year to the 7th year of life. Similarly, he needs larger amounts of energy to sustain his immensity and arrogance. Therefore, through the patriarch, he creates a colony or legion of sons and daughters who serve his government even with their lives, because they are the foundation and pillars of this house. These pseudo-demons are called covert nepotism, learning all the techniques and strategies of power to form their anti-progeny that will steal or kill innocent souls with every type of seduction or deception. In other words, keeping the people in ignorance to prevent them from being free. For this reason, Leviathan seeks to alter the natural reproduction of humans, justifying its phenotypic intervention in the interposition and control of human existence. First, by using surrogate wombs to expand its tyranny, hypocritically dividing the natural sexual coexistence of both parties between women and men, all in the name of a supposed holy religion. They aim to break the divinity of love and authentic creation that comes only through the union of man and woman. According to this, hedonism seeks to surpass the Lord of Spirits, giving rise to mass reproduction in labyrinthine caves of enormous laboratories. This human harvest or animal chimera produces a creation of a single gender, male plus male minus female, or female plus female minus male, in synthetic biobags. They want to uproot the love provided by our parents, growing these duplicates in the midst of cold metals, devoid of love, filled only with hatred, hence their name, creatures of iron and fire. This process destroys the balanced growth of natural and anatomical genetics. The original concept of the family is considered a bandit of societal structure, but these men and women are divided in their own creed. This religion feels self-sufficient because they are wealthy, and printing money is not a problem for them. Hence, they align with the radical feminist and anti-Christian ideology of Simone de Beauvoir in The Second Sex, which tells the absurdity that one is not born a woman, one becomes one. Unsatisfied, they create a trauma at the level of Shulamit Firestone and the dialectic of sex, which speaks of woman as a social class, disregarding minors and the barbarity of Monique Wittig in The Straight Mind, stating that the heterosexual regime is mandatory, or woman does not exist. Thus, they move between girlfriends and girlfriends or boyfriends and boyfriends. But all roads lead to Rome, because this criminal organization, these Leviathan idealists, not only want their space, as they already have extensive power everywhere, controlling the minds of many ignorant people. However, they aim to eliminate the initial and original platform of what is the human realm that interacts among other peoples. But the Leviathan's offspring do not recognize themselves as Homo sapiens, much less as part of Homo Deus. Why? Because due to their complexes and arrogance, they feel perfect, entering a new era of Homo Machina, without the need for the other, without the need for love and grace through peaceful coexistence among peoples. This is where the essential role of the life collector comes into play to collect souls wherever they can, just satisfying and satiating the energy needs of this enormous devouring dragon. A beast that lives amidst humanity, but few have been able to recognize it. Those who have witnessed the potency of this malevolent and harmful energy creature fear it more than death. But why does God ignore it? Perhaps he waits for the last moment. But if the terror persists from generation to generation, and every region of this planet has suffered drastically from its sharp claws, which simultaneously keep it in control through the manipulative power of minds it knows how to use to its advantage. Its dominion expands impressively in the midst of this world in total latent chaos. That's why the Roma people, the gypsies, who were always on that corner of Salzgasse, weren't just there to beg for alms every day, lingering until late at night. They are also part of the family, taking care of the son as he begins to have lapses and flashes of memory in his awakening process from the great deception shown to him by Leviathan. And when the son finally wakes up from a flash of clarity in that cursed dream and has to run out of cologne for a short time because the mites are hunting them ferociously, disguised as holy pilgrims, that's why that young and sweet gypsy tells him, "Don't trust this dragon that has many faces. Look at what Leviathan did to us. He stole our sacred and secret language, our heritage, knowing that it is a powerful tool, especially as a channel for magic and contact with hidden spirits. That's why he deceived us, wanting to know our cultural and hereditary code, promising that it was only for the improvement of our conditions. And in the end, it was worse than 100 years of curse, with death and misfortune until today." The gypsy explains to the son when he brought her a fruit to eat. "Because this dragon is an intellectual who seeks only the secrets of this world for his own interests and nothing more than that, making it happen at any cost." Quote, "Let's be unequivocally clear. Advocating for the right of Palestinian people is not synonymous with denying the rights and security of Jewish people. That's why it's a battle we must champion, a torch we must carry." Malcolm X. "Beware, son, with this beast, and wear the armor of Asclepius in this battle with wisdom and courage." The gypsy concludes by communicating with her psyche. So, when you least expect it, it's already around your neck, and you only realize it when you struggle to breathe, because it starts to suffocate you, leaving you breathless. That's why, not by chance, after Thomas Hobbes, John Locke was terrified of how to deal with this evil and calculating beast. Also, King Kai-Gurjai, a wise and kind-hearted man, suffered countless attacks that affected the great family of all the peoples of this planet, referred as the real Zion, the great land, because it is not one people but thousands of peoples, because this is not pro-Palestine or pro-Israel. This is pro-humanity and global. It is a re-equilibrium, and we cannot wait another 75 years more, no more. Especially in the first time, and without time to recover, he immediately had a second destructive attack in the second time. And when he had to meet Leviathan at his home for a peace agreement, he hesitated, not because he didn't want to, but because he was extremely exhausted from so much aggression that left him lacerated while Leviathan continued to attack him, like an expert whipper who had lashed him with such force of hatred and depth of evil that weakened him, losing so much blood along the way. And when he had to enter that pit of death, he couldn't, because in that dark and unclear cave, you can't walk with an open perspective, because it has so many high columns that don't allow you to see the light. You can't see the rays of the sun. Moreover, this dragon moves terribly fast and slippery like a hybrid of slug hair, resulting in an army of vigilant mites in the center of this cave. Thus the path, vision, and breathing in that place become very heavy and extremely difficult. Moreover, these mites have the ability to enter inside humans while they sleep to blackmail and control them at will. But amid the flames, King Kai-Gurjai sang in silence because he had a vision, while diplomatic animals or messengers communicated to him what is about to come. Others thought he was just schizophrenic, because the Lord of Spirits whispered a blessing to him, and he preserved it for the great family, because the Lord of Spirits watches over his peoples. He has begotten a natural son to serve his peoples, a warrior of peace who is not afraid to enter the house of vipers and descend to find the life collectors and the monsters of Dorian. He will carry a very special gift with him, and this gift comes from his Father and Creator. This gift is a stardust with eternal flame from the cosmos, and this devastating beast craves it so much and fears it at the same time because it cannot touch it since the day it betrayed its creator with its hidden arrogance. But this Heyoka sun sits lonely and silent with a special sword, patiently awaiting the signal from his master and redeemer to move with the impulse of the love that broke his chains. Returning to the optical wheel that Enrique is experiencing leads him to go through other tests. And it doesn't end there because the next day, Tuesday, February 1st, he had to work again at LTPV. The bar partner informs him that he is unavailable because he tested positive for coronavirus as well and cannot come. So, Enrique has to work with one of the owners of the place named Julio. Upon his arrival, all the supervisors, managers, and the owner await him, trying to find excuses to attack from the early hours of work. But he works without pressure, precise and adaptable to the situation. Very flexible, soaring high so that gravity itself can deal with these small rodents clinging to the feathers of an eagle. Therefore, he responds to what is necessary, letting many other things pass by to conserve his energy. You need to focus more on the work you're doing, Enrique, because you're not present. It seems like you have something on your mind, and I don't know what you're hiding or what you're thinking, says Julio. Don't worry, Julio. What I must do, I will do, and I can do my job responsibly. It's just that I'm tired now. I need to recharge my energy, meaning I need a bit more sleep, because yesterday was a very long and heavy night. I'll come back better and stronger than before, responds Enrique to Julio after the long night of work he had with Dardo on his last day and the hundreds of farewell attacks he received. That same night, the alpha man from Italian intelligence, Alfredo, arrives very elegant, tall, robust, and of good presence. He wishes to talk to Enrique in person to scrutinize the efficiency of the previous night's aggression, but without success because he didn't want to waste more time or talk to anyone. There are three, himself and two women. Stay with Alfredo until the end of the night, eating, drinking cocktails, and several bottles of good Lugana. I want to talk to a manager, the person in charge of the restaurant, says Alfredo with an arrogant, firm, and loud voice so that Enrique can hear him. This man did not speak German, but he had good English. Meanwhile, Alfredo was requesting it from a waitress in the dining room, but at the same time, he was looking directly at Enrique, who was preparing an old-fashioned for him. Enrique looks at him, pauses, and continues to prepare the decoration of his cocktail, because that's the only thing he'll have that night from Enrique, and certainly not dealing with Nicole's messenger. And shortly after, when the kitchen and the bar are closing, and he begins to clean and organize the closure, he encounters more surprises. I open this refrigerator and look, Enrique informs Julio. There, he finds a large broken bottle of pure cherry juice, blood-colored. This left everything covered, and the blood, or rather cherry juice, had to be cleaned up. So, with patience, Enrique begins to clean and put everything in order again. That's why he does nothing else but focus his strength and energy to finish the night's work and go to sleep. While Enrique organizes the bar, Alfredo has no choice but to return from where he came, reminding him of Psalm 34:7-8. The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him, and he delivers them. Taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the one who takes refuge in him. Enrique leaves, and he also works the next Wednesday at Volmetzger. As he starts to cough on the first and second day due to a slight flu that caused a mucus cough twice in total, he feels some mild symptoms. However, one of the owners urgently calls him because they need him again at LTPV to cover for the absence of some colleagues who are infected, despite already having the third vaccine of distilled water. That is why he decides to go early to the medical studio on Thursday morning, where his secret admirers from the Gestapo are waiting for him to see the results of the coronavirus test, because he is informed that almost everyone who was at the LTPV on Monday has the virus. And that's how Enrique finds out that he also has the coronavirus, because it comes out positive, and he takes almost 2 weeks of quarantine to avoid the increase of the contagion to other people. He takes that short quarantine time to get to know himself better. He saw his mistakes, weaknesses, and start dedicating more time. In other words, to improve every day and take small steps, thinking big and acting now, in the present. And if he relapses, he already has a self-guidance system that will lead him back on track. Learning to lose to move forward, because the universe has a very different way of seeing things. All closed doors and tests are there to elevate you. Appreciate them because they take you to the next level, with sacrifice, which is a future investment, and discipline, which is consistency. So, remember to stay with the dreamers, the doers, the creators, and those who succeed on the avenue of success. It could be that I lost my job, my house, my wife, the relationship with Nicole, because it wasn't just for me, or I was wrong. And this is a test to improve and prepare, because the future holds something equal to what I work for, or better, superior, and unique. The only thing you have to do is be ready, like the bride waiting for her lover to arrive. Writes Enrique in his notes of his diary. Returning to understand the points that Enrique observed in these 2 years of imbalanced relationship. He understood that it was a guaranteed path to the slaughterhouse, but he had the power to decide what role he wanted to play. Whether he was the sheep to be sacrificed, or the lion that attacks its prey, that is, the one who doesn't run, but instead makes these invertebrates run. And as Wayne Dyer says, don't die with your music still in you. Say enough. Enough of the disdain and manipulation of a narcissist. Detecting the threads, he weaves into the mind to entangle you, but you must fill your center with green fuel to ignite that energetic flame within you and prepare for the attack at the most appropriate moment if the situation demands it. And perhaps you may lose a pawn or must sacrifice even your queen, temporarily in the dynamic and variable battle that is chess. But fortunately, destiny allows you to recover it when you reach the other side of your opponent's territory, and she, the queen, is now a new person. But everything is part of the divine plan, to make them laugh for a moment, as a distraction. Because later it will be too late to understand that their leader, their king, is under an unrecoverable threat. An unexpected patriarchal checkmate for a king who is already dead and was not announced in time. The reflection is meticulous, especially on Nicole's behavior in these years. Every abuse, every offense, every illusion. Maybe to help him wake up? Who knows? That's why Enrique doesn't react. Rather, he responds with a firm fist. The party is over. No more empathy for this person who only abuses the kindness of someone who wants to create something real, says Enrique. And as he has the power to be like a chameleon, he becomes a cold and bitter person. He has no more love for me. Something is happening. What's wrong with him? Nicole reacts when she sees that she can't channel Enrique's energies. She has no more suppliers, remaining isolated, and unfortunately thought she had the power to see the cards when she is not the chosen one for this, despite performing the secret Roman ecclesiastical code ritual, that is, sleeping with more than 500 men and women, who will henceforth be her missionaries and slaves at the mercy of the hidden feminine patriarchy of a Vaticagna. But what is Nicole looking for with this? Maybe the best for the people of this land, as she knows nothing about geopolitics. Or was it just to feed her ego with limited power? Another harlot blinded by the promises of her father for absolute dominance amidst abundant ignorance. And why the matriarchy of a harlot, and not a fierce warrior or evil statesman? Because the latter two were failed attempts as Enrique fights as a warrior of Krav Maga, MMA along with the art of silat. And his mind is quick, flexible, and versatile. But the real weakness of the Enrique at the time was that he falls in love with a woman with all his heart. Not for her physical beauty, external objects, or wealth, but rather for what he finds in the heart of this person. And this is where the patriarch prepares some of his daughters, first violating them at an early age to create a hatred for the opposite sex, and at the same time a need to seek a paternal protector. Back to the ritual of the secret Roman ecclesiastical code, Nicole would be led through the paths of thousands daggers, Y, and thorny white flowers, X, that would drive her to the madness of anxiety and depression. Later, they would give her a ritualized sweetener of fictitious victory perfume. In other words, they would make her secretly procreate some offspring, who would only be future hostages for blackmails, and she would fall with both feet in, thinking she has some power. So, when the time comes, the patriarch chooses the most suitable one, that praying mantis that is compatible with Enrique, so that when they fall in love, they play the game of divide and conquer in the same way they have done for centuries, long before the Borgias and other patriarchal families. Quote, pop porno, il genio. But now these powerful individuals no longer live in palaces or castles. No, that would be foolish. Now these magnates hide in ordinary houses and apartments all over the world to avoid drawing attention. And there are more than 545 hidden daughters and secret sons throughout Europe and the rest of the world, called rerum negative, because they blend among themselves like the Hamburgs who refuse to share the power or abundance of this world. And so, the people in turn have to surrender their best women, men, and wealth to this patriarch who feeds his ego by treating these women, servants, and riches as mere objects to use and discard. That's why these people eat the bread and swallow all the discomfort to avoid unleashing another terror of war or conflicts on this land. But the Enrique does not respond. He leaves and begins to give her a taste of the same medicine prepared by a Heyoka Indian. Because he realized that Nicole was not from his community. She was just a false woman, embedded for years in the warriors of Light's villages. That's why she pretended love for a reward that gave her a higher position than she had in the ex-family of her patriarch. But the days are numbered, and she will have to change her heart, or nature itself will return her to the black hole of her family of humanoid extraterrestrials. Even Jesus in the Bible teaches us how to deal with toxic people, such as narcissists, as a Christian counselor eloquently pointed out, first by ignoring every defamatory campaign, as told in Matthew 9:9-13. At that time, Jesus saw a man named Matthew sitting at the tax collector's booth. "Follow me," he told him, and Matthew got up and followed him. While Jesus was having dinner at Matthew's house, many tax collectors and sinners came and ate with him and his disciples. When the Pharisees saw this, they asked his disciples, "Why does your teacher eat with tax collectors and sinners?" On hearing this, Jesus said, "It is not the healthy who need a doctor, but the sick. But go and learn what this means. I desire mercy, not sacrifice, for I have not come to call the righteous, but sinners." And if you continue with this same reading, pay attention to Matthew 10:12-16, Matthew 23:29-30, and the reading of the first letter of the Apostle John 5:16. You will understand that Jesus Christ called them by name and cut them off from his life with zero contact. They were no longer welcome. Father, Mother, why do I have to play along with this harlot's game of the day? I'm tired of this shit. I want a normal life, a family. Nicole screams at both of them when they meet for lunch on a weekend, exhausted from rolling from bed to bed in a bottomless empire. But my daughter, it is normal. The father reassures Nicole with a light sigh. Is it normal? Is normal. It is normal a fuck. Un coño. This is a ritual more bizarre than apocalyptic, and I no longer feel my vagina anymore. Now I have an empty pool. Nicole yells at her father, upset because she understood too late the imperial game used by this old NGO, while the mother remains submissive, somewhat nervous, and silent under the dominant gaze of the father. But that's normal, my daughter. Every empire has its most bizarre rituals. Look at what the Romans of the Roman Empire did. Circus and bread. With the sweat of the gladiators, these women created cosmetics, among other things. And if you look at what the Egyptians did, they used crocodile dung as a contraceptive. And if we look at what the Vikings did, they used slaves because when their master died, unfortunately, they had to follow him in the next life. But first, they had to have wild sex with every man from every house in this place, and in the end, they were sacrificed by the priestess. And the Persians, they evaluated whether they had made the right decision, no matter how stupid it was, just by doing a ritual of drinking alcohol. If they still felt the same way after getting drunk, it was the right decision. My dear daughter, and where do I leave the Ottomans? These barbarians, to avoid succession wars when the new sultan ascended the throne, had the divine right to execute all his male brothers by law. So, my beloved queen, my beautiful popess, we are very good and soft in the end. Our tradition is just child's play, a game of sexual enjoyment, of daggers and thorned flowers. And no one has to die. The father calmly explains to Nicole to make her understand the evolutionary soft mechanism of these rituals from human mythologies, or the improvements of this religious empire that has been transformed into something less violent and more sexual for its fairy tales over the centuries. Yes, of course, do it with your Kreta, pussy, not mine. You deceived me, father, and luckily, I am your blood, your supposed favorite daughter. I want to get out of this damn nightmare now. I am no popus, much less I do not have the powers of the great harlot. Instead, what I did, it was from a simple porn star. My regret for what I did. Nicole cries and screams desperately because she is furious with the father who pushed her mercilessly off a precipice. But my daughter, I don't have any Kreta, and I am also making sacrifices for this blessed house. I sow my seeds of life wherever it is appropriate to keep the family's motto running. The father responds to his daughter. Right on target. You are sacrificing yourself like a crazed rabbit in Kojioka when you are cutting your fresh exotic flowers after wine and champagne, or like an Irish leprechaun when you quickly count the money, the works, the gemstones, the gold, and all the wealth that the people pay you in tribute, more out of terror than love. Nicole yells in tears at her father for the pain she is suffering in seemingly perpetual chain of sufferings. Calm down, my daughter. We have divine blessings, so use Plan B that we have always prepared for you. Leave that apartment. You don't have to contact him anymore. Disappear and let your servants turn on everything, lights or candles, to show that you are there, living your life as you usually did. Then let Mrs. Hullenbande send a non-Swiss guard there. No, wait, not just one, at least 4. Mrs. Hullenbande should send 4 working guards to your apartment. This way, when your sister Tinako uses her kittens to bring Enrique there, he will be in for a tremendous surprise. Her father explains to Nicole what to do. Yes, because we live off the story, the great fairy tale. Nicole replies, very agitated. Yes, but this fairy tale is different, and very old because it includes a half-truth that no one makes an antithesis of. The father almost laughs as he responds to his daughter. Okay then, father, where do I retreat? Because I'm exhausted and can't take it anymore. Nicole asks her father. Quote, the saddest aspect of life right now is that science gathers knowledge faster than society gathers wisdom. Isaac Asimov. What do you mean exhausted? After everything you've done, and I've seen you do, I can't believe it. Acting course, we gave you all the secrets of secret files and advantages that others haven't had, and now you want to run. The father is surprised to hear these words from Nicole because she is simply unbeatable. Even harlots have a limit, father. She justifies herself to her father. Give me a new place quickly, and we must have a family meeting because I don't want to play these shitty cards anymore. Find yourself another harlot, Nicole explains to her father. What questions are you asking, my queen? Wherever you want. We already have 3 places ready with many of your favorite guards and little drops of joy. So, you can also take advantage of your time to expand your colony, give and receive. The father repeats to Nicole the modus operandi to follow, and apparently he is glad to see his daughter in this infernal situation. Okay, where to? Nicole desperately wants to know what other options she has. Let me see, my daughter. I have a beautiful house in Ferme, France. Another is a villa with a pool near Lake Verezzi, Italy. Or you can return to your favorite place among the mountains of Gothenburg in Switzerland. There you have a chalet with everything you love in Saas-Fee. And best of all, you don't even have to pretend to work. Since you don't like that immortal thing, the father pleases his popiest Nicole with all the luxuries and details that she loves. Quote, when you underestimate what you do, the world will underestimate who you are. Oprah Winfrey. Agreed, father. I'll leave early tomorrow. But this fairy tale, I'm making it more real than ever now, because I'll do it again, but intensified to 12 full moons. I'll do this round of 12 for 500 daggers and thorned flowers for the next 12 months because these old ones betrayed me. In other words, they technically broke me twice. Nicole confirms, much calmer after having an exit strategy, her classic plan B implemented since the first day of service. But my daughter, you are ambitious indeed. This is something never done. The father is impressed by the potential his current popess possesses. If it's necessary to maintain our lineage and prevent the fall of our shadow power, she replies to her father. But this time, you have to make Enrique fall in love with you, marry him, and you become the shadow government with your non-Swiss guards. Remember what we did with Napoleon, George Washington, Woodrow Wilson, Franklin D. Roosevelt, John F. Kennedy, and many more rulers of this world, because you are the representation of the Chiesa, who is a woman, and this Enrique wants to rule well, and we cannot allow it. You are the queen, and he is nothing. He is not real, just a bastard abandoned by his mother and father, the father reminds Nicole. But this Enrique is a nasty beast. He doesn't marry. At most, I can be his partner, secretary, or section manager. Ah, and he always passionately fucks me while inviting me into his threesomes to fulfill all his fantasies, and mine too. She replies to her father about what she already knows. Because he's bad too. This is so nasty. And why didn't you make him depressed with bachata? And your love from Cabaret, that slow destroyer. Que, that was the romantic music par excellence that you had to give him every day, like daily medicine for a sick person. The father, perplexed, asks Nicole. Yes, I did it. And every time I played bachata for this Tigre, bad guy, he told me, Quiera y de mami. Come here, baby. And he danced with me, grabbed my ass, and rubbed his Palo Santo against me from the front and back with a lot of sensuality because, for him, it was just a sensual, typical dance from his Caribbean homeland. Nicole explains, blushing to her father. But then he had to be sad or depressed, needing to drink alcohol? The father asks Nicole with concern. No, not at all, because this man would immediately switch to listening to reggaeton, do mindfulness meditation, listen to an audiobook, or some other weird thing, a new Dominican music, called Dembo. It was as if he didn't care about anything. She honestly replies to her father. He puts his mind on standby, carajo, or as the Dominicans say, se hace el loco. Who taught him that? Damn, this man is dangerous. Kill him. He's not the chosen one. Kill him immediately. Kill him, kill him. And look for another man immediately. One who is better than him in all arts and disciplines. The father shouts desperately at Nicole, seeing that Enrique has the antibodies for his games. I've tried. I've been looking for it all my life, and nothing works. But why don't you do it, father? I heard he went to the embassy of the Holy House in Cologne, and they couldn't deal with him. They were expecting Enrique to come with weapons, or at least a sharp weapon. And the only thing they found on him was a bartender's knife, a corkscrew like the one he used on me. How pathetic your missionaries are. Why don't they go look for him in the woods? That way they either come out on fire or with their heads and hands cut off. You know what, father? I'm fed up with this fairy tale, Nicole says, very irritated, to her father. So, my daughter, but you were the one who asked for Enrique's expulsion, not only from your beauty reign, your palace, or your house, but outside of Cologne, outside of Germany, and send him as far away as possible, the father reminds Nicole. It's just that this Enrique does very strange, heterodox, and satanic things, Nicole shouts to her father. And what strange things does this man do now? The father asks incredulously. Father, he goes to bed late every day and gets up very early, around 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the morning, to meditate, exercise, and do some satanic thing for our lineage. Nicole complains to her father. What satanic thing does this Enrique do? The father asks again, distrustful to his popess. Something called work. And you know, father, that a popess doesn't do any of that. I totally refuse. Nicole rejects accepting the normal responsibilities of life. Of course, especially you, my daughter, who is very busy with your true life passions, doing Dora la Succionadora. The sucker. I mean, what's the name of that children's cartoon? Oh, Dora la Exploradora. The explorer, with your long lists of guards. Then I really understand, my beloved queen of this ancient temple. The father responds very sarcastically and maliciously to his daughter Nicole. Quote, Encendedora, el mayor clásico. Father, what are you saying? That I'm Dora la Periadora, the twerker. It's just the price I have to pay. Nicole is angry with her father. Me. No, my dear Ave Queen, not at all. The father replies to Nicole, the heavenly queen of the Siesha. Father, now you're calling me Dora la Mama Dora. The gauger. Nicole claims to the father, more furious. No, for the holy charity, my popess. If to me you are like Saint Martha, la Dominadora, the dominator. The father explains to Nicole the popess. Father, please don't talk to me about saints. Nicole gets riled up with the father, since she doesn't believe in those saints at all. My queen, don't get like that with your father. But why didn't you sell his soul to the devil when you made love to Enrique? The father tries to calm her down and indirectly passes the hot potato. Because when I made love to him, I always tried to cast a curse and introduced him to the devil himself. But instead, they both started playing poker, and he not only bought his soul, freeing himself from every curse, but he made a bilateral agreement with the devil himself to free the thousands of peoples enslaved by the Siesha, she tells her father. Damn, then get him out of the way. Offer him some alms, a little something, a vacation, some money, and get him out of the way. The father shouts at Nicole. Quote, Tô te querendo como ninguém. Tô te querendo como Deus quiser. Tô te querendo como eu te quero. Tô te querendo como se quer. Tribalistas. Father, this man, Enrique, doesn't buy it. He's blocking my path for maintenance. He's squeezing me like a lemon in a skinny bitch. And he's already drinking my dear and beloved cold sister, Tinako. He's smoking her slowly like a cigarette. Nicole tells her father what's happening. For all the saints, change the manipulation index. Make him come begging on his knees. The father advises Nicole. Enrique is a man who doesn't even pray in church, much less to me. He only puts me on my knees. The church queen confesses to the father. Damn, you have to neutralize him. This is non-negotiable, my beloved popess. The father warns Nicole. No, because even the devil is with this lion. Now I'm going with him too, father, because I like this man, and I'm going to use my patata velutata, my punani, to create my new non-Swiss guards, to protect him and to destroy that knot you represent, and have continued to feed in this poison system, in this spoil system. I'm going to fuck like a damn bitch, Cagna, stoned under drug, day and night. I'm going to spread my legs to the worst men in this world until you go 7 feet underground and leave me in peace with him. The popus warns and assures the father. But what are you saying, my daughter? I am your father. Look at what I did for you. We updated the list of admirers on the Av Queen app of this Yessa. Now you have more options. The father offers Nicole a gift to win her over. I'm not interested anymore, thank you, Nicole says abruptly to her father. But you, my popus, you cannot love him because you were programmed from a very young age with our Loyola and Montessori system to not feel love for others. At most, you can feel esteem or admiration that will deviate in a short time into a degenerate feeling, or better said, distorted envy, and that's where you use your non-Swiss guards and neutralize him. The father corrects Nicole. But I love him, and I can change my subconscious. She quickly responds to the father based on what she learned from Enrique. Yes, like the non-Swiss guards who live upstairs, those who visit you whenever you want. You love them so much that you change them almost like your underwear. And mind you, they're always well-endowed, athletic, and I know they drill deep in wet holes well. The father doesn't believe what she says. But now it's different. I'm going to learn to give and receive love, enter into a healthy and balanced relationship, like Enrique showed me. Nicole confirms to her father, No, my daughter, you just have to kill him. Because it's more than a tradition. It's our global balance law that we have carried for more than 2,000 years, or you will be the next to move on to a better life if you don't do what I ask, because this is the war of the sexes. The father warns his popess. I can't kill him because we're in a territory where it's not allowed. At most, I can use the worst manipulation techniques or dark NLP. And believe me, father, this man Enrique doesn't fall anymore. He falls and rises stronger. Imagine that I've allied with all the intelligence services, and now he just pretends to fall, like un danseur de musique classique. Nicole confesses to the father. And where is he now? Because I will send my unofficial guards to eliminate him, the father asks desperately to the queen of the old institution. I don't know. Not even Troisi's Il Postino can find him to deliver all the legal complaints and debts we're making. But I've heard he escaped to a small island, similar to Procida, and lives like Pablo Neruda with his Beatrice Russo. Nicole confesses to the father. So, you know what can happen, my dear popus. 2 coins will be what I'll go after, I mean. They will go to collect at the Trevi fountain. Because you are the Trinity. You are the iconography of revelation made flesh. Without you, the apocalypse would have no beginning, and our temple, like our book would go down in mythology, would collapse. And this is your mission. Defend it against the Messiah, Buddha, Muhammad, or any superhero who wants to change the order of the best religion in the world, and that's why you cannot fall in love. Otherwise, I will use the power of the invisible hand to divide them. The father directly threatens his own daughter. The Trinity. Yes, I know, and I might die in the attempt, but you, father, your offspring, your patriarchal successors, this old temple, and your missionaries will also put an end to the Sacré-Cœur in Montmartre, because I am sick of this fairy tale, she assures him, very irritated. Don't tell me that, my dear popus. Remember who I am, and the power I have over all those ghost cities you've lived in and all those people you've known. I am superior to the NSA system itself, only nature is safe. For now. The father tries to intimidate her. Quote, take a chance and you can lose. Don't take risks and you will have already lost. Soren Kierkegaard. Yes, you are God. Come down to earth and I don't give a damn, Father. I like this man, and until I can be with him, then he will do the same. He will fuck and take many women from all parts of the world to create another female colony, and they will kill your death squad sweetly. Then your missionaries will be left without Creta, without bitches, Cagne, and without service of Purina. It's just between him and me, and we'll finish you off. Devil my God, Diablo Dios mio, together. Because you brought it upon yourself, my father, she confirms to her own father. Because this was nothing more than continuing in the Olympic Games. In short, it is necessary to defeat in every possible way the one who also wants to eat and share what he discovered with others, the one who seeks his independence, or simply the one who has chosen to live a life outside the schemes of this systematic matrix of the great architects who control this half-truth. Therefore, a very high price must be paid, because they will do everything to keep you from being free. Since this is not allowed, because they fear that if one goat leaves the herd, the others will too, thus making a higher transformation that leads you from being a goat to a lion. Have you seen a lion run, dear reader? Have you seen a lion flee? Quite the opposite. Lions make this pack of spineless hyenas and jackals run because they have no hearts, they are not real. But this is different from being good. Pay attention. For this reason, this would be the end of the infinite game for the Leviathan, because it would run out of prey to eat, and it would be a foretold death for its earthly kingdom,